Hi, how are you guys doing? Decided to make a video about traditional archery equipment. Not many of you know this, but I actually love and enjoy shooting traditional bows. It's actually something that's a new passion of mine. I've been pretty much picking up and learning the past 4 months or so. Anyway, there seems to be two main traditional bows on the market that are considered to be top-notch bows. I mean, there are many very good bows, don't get me wrong, and some of them are excellent. But these are considered to be the two top bowers or bow makers in the United States, if not in the world. One of them is Bob Lee Archery, and the other one is Black Widow. They both started back in the 50s, and they both have numerous accomplishments in the bow industry. But basically what it all comes down to is how do they shoot. Now both bows are different. I have the Bob Lee, which is the Bob Lee Hunter, so it is a more inexpensive version of their signature series and so on and so on. They don't use such, fancy exotic woods in this model. Then they came out with this model, I think, in the 90s or so, to make it more affordable for the bow hunter, and to get into traditional archery. But this bow shoots just as smooth as the high-end stuff, I mean, there really is, the processes are the same, the limbs, all that kind of stuff. So you basically have a strap-on quiver. I don't know if you can tell very well there. It's a 3-piece takedown bow where it has 2 bolts you can undo on each limb. And this particular bow I actually bought with another set of limbs, 45-pound limbs. These limbs here are 58 pounds at 28 inches. The AMO of the bow is 62 inches. Both bows are exactly the same. They both are 58 at 28 and they're both 62 inches long. The arrows that I'm using are gold tip traditionals, 55-75. They have a total grain weight of 630 grains, fletches and all, and they have 50 grain inserts just behind the insert, 125 grain tip, and it has those weight tubes that you can put inside the arrow to give it more weight in total. Those weigh 5 grains per inch. And then with the fletching and all that other stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, the Bob Lee pushes these same arrows at literally 10 feet per second faster. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's pushing them at 171, and the Black Widow pushes them at 161, right about there. So 10 feet per second faster than the Bob Lee. But it is a heavy arrow. I like heavy arrows. They're, especially for traditional bows, they tend to penetrate through anything. And when I shoot 3D targets with these, trust me, they are tough to take out. So gotta use some of that scorpion venom or whatever that deal is, snake venom. Put it on the end of the tip so it don't stay stuck on your 3D targets. Anyway, downrange, about 10 yards, I've got my target, and in my basement. But this little enclosed area will give us a better idea for the noise that these bows make. Now, on the internet, I see some people using just knitting wool. Oh, I was about to have a problem with my bow. I've strung it badly. So I better sort that out before something goes wrong. It came off the tip when I strung it. I didn't notice that. So So what happens sometimes you're not paying attention. Thank God I noticed it now before I drew back. Okay, now it's all seated. Whew, things you gotta watch out for, you know? Anyway, I don't know if you can see that. So I wrapped wool around the Flemish string, especially the part that makes contact with the limb, to basically deaden the sound a bit more. And not like these bows make a huge amount of sound or anything, but any bow I try to silence it as much as I can. So as you can tell, it's got I think these are beaver fur balls, or whatever, beaver balls, whatever you want to call. So there's 4 of those on the string. So I'm going to shoot a round of 6, and then we're going to go to the Black Widow. Now I'll tell you right off the bat that in my opinion the Black Widow is a little quieter, okay? They both shoot amazingly smoothly. They both are amazingly accurate. Like I said, the Bobbly's a touch faster though. The other thing is, the Bobbly to me, in my hands, feels, I don't know how to explain it. It just feels more natural. I don't know, it's like a guy that picks up an AR and then it picks up a traditional rifle. The AR just feels like it's pointing in the right direction. And funny enough, I got the Black Widow first, and I shot the Black Widow for months, and man, I got so attuned to it, and then I picked up the Bobbly, and I just felt a little different, but I felt good. But I know people swear by their Black Widows, so it's, I don't tell you, the Black Widow is a smooth, quiet bow. It's accurate. It does everything just as well. It's just personal preference. So anyway, for the adieu, 6 shots with a Bobbly, 10 yards. I'll have to kind of space my arrows around a little bit. If I aim for the same spot, after a while I start breaking arrows and it kind of drives me nuts. You can hear very, very quiet. There might be a slight hum you can hear, but I'm telling you, only in this enclosed space. So now 58 pounds is quite a decent draw. A lot of people go for a 50 pound, but I try not to take any chances with my deer, and while I still can, I'll try, I'll draw what I possibly can. That's what I can muster. I don't think I can draw any more than that. Oh. Had some tools on the target, fell down. Last shot. Okay. I'm going to retrieve my arrows really quick. I'll be absent for a few seconds. Be back. Okay, now onto the Black Widow. And I'll tell you, man, sometimes those arrows, they stick in those targets so hard. Now, what I do like about the Black Widow, I must say, and my wife agrees, that it is a good looking bow. The Bobbly too, I won't say no. It's got beautiful lines, it's, they're both beautiful, but there's something about the Black Widow that just attracts attention, commands attention. I take this shooting to certain places and people just can't stop looking at it. I think it's the colors, or I don't know. The other thing about the Black Widow is that being a one-piece bow, in my mind it just seems like it's all sturdy or all put together. You don't have to worry about anything, you just straight and shoot, Where but anything goes wrong, it's the whole boat. With a bobbly, you know, you have that little doubt sometimes, like, is there something loose? Could something not be tightened down or whatever, you know? Another thing I found about the bobbly is that, you know, in the manual it says don't over tighten the bolts, but I'll tell you now, you really have to tighten those pretty snug. If you don't, your limbs could actually start kind of opening up. You'll see them, you know, kind of cracking, especially in the limb caps on the top of the bottom. And I have, that's basically kind of happened to my limbs, because I had them a little too loose, so the vibration kind of split them up. And then I realized I had to torque them down a little bit more. Now obviously, don't get crazy. You just have to torque it down really well and snug. But after a while, you realize where it's at. And, you know, once you get that sorted out, you can, I mean, the limbs are really fine. Anyway, Black Widow, as you can tell, I made these little puff balls at the end, and you know, did the same thing to the ends of the string. Just in that way, you know, the ball game, they're both basically in the same ballpark. You know, have the same things going for them. Can't say that one's has more stuff to silence than the other one, but I think probably the balls, these funny, you know, I don't know what you call them, knitting balls, might do a better job. But anyway, here we go. This one has a straight up twack. Just a simple twack, straight to it. No, there's, on both these bows, there's no hand shock, no nothing. It's just vloop. Obviously, if you use a lighter arrow and all that stuff, you know, things will probably get a little more loud and a little more shock, you know, that kind of stuff. Now what I hear mainly is the arrow hitting the target, and not so much the bow. And if anybody's curious on what type of glove I'm using, I will tell you. I am using an American Leathers glove. I think this is elk skin or something. Has like the nylon, and I couldn't wear just normal gloves. I mean, they just beat the snot out of my fingers. I couldn't feel my fingers after a couple of shots. I need something tougher, especially for, you know, these heavier bows. Your fingers really take a beating. Down 2 shots. This is the second last one. Gonna have to spread out a little bit. Starting to cluster too close. Scared I might break an arrow. Both of them have this plastic type tip. Really saves your bow tip, and I would recommend getting all that stuff from Three Rivers. The other thing that I don't like too much about the Black Widow is the quiver. It's a bolt-on quiver. Which, you know, I guess is okay, but, you know, I'll tell you right out, you know, the bobbly, to me, when you're talking about the ultimate in takedown and compactability and shootability, smoothness, all that stuff, I think the bobbly's starting to take the cake, for me. You know, like, that's what I want. I want a bow I can take things off of. I can take the quiver off in a matter of seconds. I can break down the bow in a few minutes and put it in a little bag, and you're off. You know, the Black Widow, man, it shoots amazing. It's smooth. It's, you know, like I said, probably a smidge quieter, and but it's also a smidge slower. You know, and I'm sure, you know, it just varies. It's one of those things. it's very tough for me to say, you know, I'll tell you right now, if I had to choose one bow, and that's the bow to stick to, you know, with for the rest of my life, it'd be the bob lead, just for the simple fact that, you know, it brings so much to the table. It's so much easier to handle and break down and stuff like that. The other thing is, if anything goes wrong with your limbs, you can at least replace the limbs, and you're not replacing the whole bow. The other thing is, you know, right now, you know, I can draw 58 pounds. Okay, great. But maybe in 5 years, my shoulders are going to start aching big time, and I might just not be able to draw that. I'll have to drop down to 50 pounds. I mean, it's kind of inevitable for most, you know, archers. There's very few archers that I know that I still shoot the same pounders they started off with, you know, all the way till their 70s or 60s or even 50s, you know. So the Bob Lee already comes with a second set, 45 pounds. 45 pounds is more than enough to take a deer in any state. So, you know, start dropping down in poundage. I'll have to swap to the 45s, you know. And that's a good thing. It's a great thing. I just take off a couple of bolts, and my bow is now a 45-pound bow. Sorry. And you know, that's one thing with a Black Widow that is not a takedown. Kind of stuck with this one. And I'm not 100% sure on what model it is. It could be the SMA or something like that, right? I'm sure the guys at Black Widow are probably going, oh my god, he doesn't know what kind of bow that is. But I'm sure that if I'd had a Black Widow takedown bow from the get-go, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I bought the Black Widow first, and then I ended up buying the Bob Lee. And I'm going to have to stick with the Bob Lee for now. I mean, really, very smooth shooter, but I'll tell you, I love both of them. And it's all down to personal preference. Both bow companies will make you a bow the way you want it. Oh, and another thing I wanted to talk about is the stringers. I bought a Solway stringer, and I'll tell you, it's the best kind of stringer there is. Very easy to use, very practical. Every bow fits in that perfectly, and it gives you a lot more confidence while you're stringing up a bow. The ones with the leather and stuff like that, especially the ones that do the, you know, tip to tip, kind of scary, guys. Anyway, so, you know, pick a bow, grab some arrows, go out in the woods, put up a target, and shoot a full arrows. See you guys later.